You've carried other people's problems for so long that you've started to think they're your own. Being an empath isn't something you choose. It's something that happened to you. Usually, in childhood, when you learned that the only way to survive was to feel everything around you, to become a mirror for everyone else's emotions. You thought it was love. You thought it was kindness. But really, it was just your way of staying safe. A survival strategy you picked up from living with people who couldn't handle their own shadows. The empath isn't just a personality type. It's a wound that became a way of being. An old story that taught you peace would only come if you absorbed everyone else's storms. But there comes a moment when your soul starts to fight back. Your body gets tired of housing other people's chaos. Your heart gets exhausted from carrying pain that isn't even yours. And in this inner rebellion, you discover something important. The real choice isn't between rejection and belonging anymore. It's between people and peace. Your unconscious mind has been waiting for this moment, getting you ready to face a truth you can't ignore anymore. Peace doesn't come from other people's approval. It comes from the sacred center of your own being. Do you see how your psyche works? You meet the same types of people over and over, the same betrayals in different voices, the same disappointments wear new faces. The pattern keeps repeating until you wake up. This is what Jung called the archetypal law of recurrence, the compulsion to repeat until your soul learns what it forgot. For the empath, the forgotten truth is simple. You're not responsible for the storms other people create. But your unconscious will keep sending you teachers, partners, friends, family members who demand your endless sacrifice. They don't come because fate is cruel. They come because your shadow insists you finally confront the prison you built for yourself. When you dream, maybe you see water flooding your house, or you're drowning, or desperately trying to rescue others from the waves. This is your unconscious crying out, showing you that you're drowning not in your own emotions, but in everyone else's. The water isn't yours, but you're drinking it like it's your lifeblood. The dream is a mirror whispering that you need to rise above the flood. You need to find the dry land of your own soul. The savior archetype haunts every empath. When you feel deeply, you think you can redeem broken people. But what you call redemption often becomes possession. You don't rescue them, you drown with them. Then your unconscious punishes you with resentment, exhaustion, and growing bitterness that eats away at the very compassion that once defined you. You think you're failing at love, but really, you're being called toward individuation. That's Jung's term for the process where you separate yourself from the illusions of your persona and the demands of the collective. Peace isn't a simple choice. It's a tearing apart. The death of your old identity. The empath who chooses peace isn't just withdrawing from people. They're withdrawing from the compulsion to save, from the martyr complex, from the old shadow contracts that once defined their worth. This withdrawal is terrifying because it feels like betrayal. You fear that without sacrifice, you won't be loved. You fear that without carrying other people's wounds, you won't belong. But that fear isn't true. It's the echo of childhood, the voice of an old wound, the ghost of a forgotten night when your tears were silenced and your needs were swallowed so others could continue unchanged. To choose peace is to choose death. Death of an image, death of a role, death of the savior complex. But from this death comes resurrection. When you stop carrying everyone else's burdens, you finally feel the weight of your own soul. It's heavy, yes, but it's real. You discover that beneath all those external storms, there was always a still place inside you, a temple untouched by chaos. The alchemists called it the lapis, the stone of wholeness. When the empath finally chooses peace over people, something strange happens. At first, the outside world rebels. Friends call you selfish. Family says you're cold. Lovers claim you're distant. They don't recognize that you're transforming, because your transformation threatens the contracts they use to bind you. This is the crucifixion of the empath. You're nailed by misunderstanding, rejection, and the anger of those who depended on your endless sacrifice. But in this crucifixion lies the path to resurrection. Let me share a dream with you. A woman told me she dreamed of carrying a heavy basket of stones on her back. She walked through a forest, bent over from the weight. Each stone had the face of someone she knew: her mother, father, husband, children. Finally, she collapsed. As she fell, the stones spilled out, and to her amazement, they started growing roots. They sprouted into trees. They became a forest of life. She realized she'd been carrying not stones, but seeds, and they were never meant to stay on her back. They needed to be planted. Do you see? The empath's burden, when laid down, becomes life, not just for you, but for others. By refusing to carry what isn't yours, you give back to others the weight that was always theirs to bear, and in doing so, you allow them to grow. Peace isn't withdrawal from love. Peace is love purified of compulsion. When you no longer help because you must, you begin to help because you can. Your gift is no longer poisoned by resentment or exhaustion. You give from fullness, not from emptiness. This is the paradox. When the empath finally chooses peace over people, they become capable of true love for the first time. The path is narrow, and the shadows are fierce. The archetype of guilt rises like a dragon, whispering that you've betrayed your nature. But guilt is often the guardian of transformation. It tests your courage to make sure you're ready to pass through the threshold. Don't run from it. Face it. Ask it, whose voice is this? Who told me that rest is selfish? Who convinced me my worth depends on sacrifice? You'll find the answer in the forgotten rooms of your childhood. In silent moments when your needs were dismissed. When you see the origin, the guilt begins to dissolve. You realize it was never your voice, but someone else's shadow living inside you. The choice for peace is a sacred rebellion. It's the moment the empath stops being a servant to other people's shadows and begins to serve the self, the divine center within. Jung called it individuation. The mystics called it union with God. Whatever the name, it's the same mystery, the return to wholeness. When the empath finally chooses peace over people, they don't stop loving. They begin to love truly. They no longer give from fear or rescue to avoid abandonment. They give because love overflows, because peace makes generosity effortless. This love doesn't bind. It liberates. It doesn't possess. It blesses. And this is the paradox the world can't understand. By withdrawing from its demands, you return with a love purer than it has ever known. So when you ask what it means to finally choose peace, understand this. It's the birth of a new archetype within you. The empath dies, the self is born, the martyr falls, the sage rises. You no longer live as the echo of others, but as the voice of your own eternal center. Choose peace, not once, but every day. Choose it when guilt whispers, when shadows accuse, when the world demands your collapse. Choose it again and again until it stops being a choice and becomes your nature. For in peace, you find yourself, and in finding yourself, you find the divine. If this message spoke to something deep inside you, don't keep it to yourself. Like, share, and subscribe, not just for more content, but to join a growing space where truth, healing, and self-discovery matter. This is Psyche Thera, and your journey is just beginning.